You're watching Two Button Crew.
The daily show for Nintendo fans.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Simeon.
Nice to see you here, Simeon.
Nice to see you.
Now, one thing that Nintendo loves to do is make completely different handhelds and consoles, not call them the same thing, not make them backwards compatible,
Nope.
not iterate on them. So, we only saw one model of the Game Boy.
Absolutely.
And that was that.
And just the original Game Boy, and that was the only thing that ever existed.
Or wait, is this some alternate universe I'm thinking of? No.
Oh.
This is the Nintendo that makes like 7 Game Boys.
Yes.
Slightly different from each other.
Just a little bit.
Alright, so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to kind of look back at the history of the Game Boy?
Yes.
And, you know, Nintendo's working on their next stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of see from generation to generation what tweaks are made and what they like to improve.
Yeah, and what they should have done, what they could have done, and what they did do.
Yeah.
First of all, we have the brick, what I like to call the brick, the original Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
I never had an original Game Boy, but I knew someone who did, and it was pretty bulky, but for the time, you know, it was the portable system. You had, when I was alive, you know, I wasn't alive when this was originally released, but at that time, you had this and the Game Gear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which one are you going to pick? You know, not the Game Gear.
The brick or the cinder block.
Exactly. Even though the cinder block was in color,
Yeah.
it was huge and had no battery life.
The thing was huge. We're talking about Game Gear. But the screen was so small that sometimes you could buy like magnifying glass accessories that fastened onto the thing itself to make the screen big enough.
Wow.
So the Game Boy was like 89. Then shortly after, actually we got quite a few years here.
Yeah, we got 7 years difference.
In 1996, the Game Boy Pocket was released.
And
sorry, one more thing on the Game Boy. That you said the brick. That was the one that like survived a bombing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look that up, there was a Game Boy, I think it's like in a museum or something now.
I'll show you.
Yeah, it has like it has like frayed edges and stuff, but the screen's intact.
Yeah.
You can play it.
So there's some advantages like bomb survival for bulky systems, but
Yes.
we got the Game Boy Pocket because you like
Yes.
carry them mobile.
In your pocket. Yeah, it's actually mobile gaming. And this is the one that I had. It's pretty much the exact same thing, only smaller. And I think a lot of people got this one confused with the Game Boy Color because at that time nobody had the Game Boy Pocket. I mean, some people had it, but like you look at it after the Game Boy Color came out and you're like, oh, you have a Game Boy Color. No, I just have something that's, you know, not a brick. But it only plays Game Boy games. This is what I had. I had Pokemon Blue, and you could still, with the Game Boy and the Game Boy Pocket, you know, obviously there's no color, but what there was is there's this little adjuster thing on the side, which really confused me before I got my Game Boy Pocket with the Game Boy, is I would look at the screen, I'm like, I literally cannot see anything on the screen. What's wrong with it? It was a little slider that if you put it all the way up, it was like a completely black screen, and all the way down, it was like a completely light screen. So you could adjust the contrast level of how much darkness there was versus how much lightness there was. And so if you were playing in a really intense game and your fingers slipped, you would turn it black and you'd be like, no, what's happening? And then you'd have to, you know, adjust it to the right levels, you know, spend 5 minutes adjusting it right. So bad.
So this next one, I was pretty impressed with. In 1998, they made a backlit Game Boy.
They did.
Called the Game Boy Light.
The
reason I'm so impressed with this is because my first Game Boy, like I said, was the Advance, no backlight. So apparently somewhere we took a wrong turn. But they
2 wrong turns, apparently.
They introduced the backlit system with the Game Boy Light, and looks like only in Japan.
Only in Japan. We didn't get it, and that's kind of a shame because that would have been really nice.
Yeah.
Especially with having to adjust the contrast on the original Game Boy systems.
One of the times that I play my handheld the most is at nighttime.
Yeah.
And, you know, traveling and car and stuff. It is not convenient to sit under a lamp or
have one of those connector things that gets in your way. It's like, oh, have this light so that you can see your Game Boy at night. Okay. Have it impossible to position properly because there's too much glare, or it's literally in your way so you can't see the screen anyway.
Yeah, you had to wear like one of those miner hats.
Oh yeah,
with the lamp on the front. So
dark time in gaming, no pun intended.
After the Game Boy Light came out only in Japan, everywhere got the Game Boy Color, and this was another revolution.
Yes, color that wasn't on the Game Gear, Nintendo console, and I was really excited when this came out. I didn't get one, but I had friends who had them, and it was cool.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
Way to put color into video games. Was that so hard?
Yeah, that's my question.
98?
98.
That's like 3 years before the GameCube came out.
Yeah.
And they didn't have color on handheld systems?
Nope. Yeah.
We live in a different time now.
We do. We demand the best in technology, and now we get it. Back then we didn't.
So up to this point, all the cartridges were the same, right?
They were all the same size. At least as far as I know, they were all the same shape. Obviously, there were Game Boy Color games that wouldn't play in the other ones, but yeah, they were all the same size.
So then we take the leap with the Game Boy Advance. This came out in 11th of June, 2001.
2001, yes, 2001.
So passed up the anniversary recently, but looks like this came out kind of just before the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
And they were definitely a paired release.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of things you could do by connecting them.
Mm-hmm.
So the Game Boy Advance had a different cartridge, and I got this one for my birthday. I got the e-reader, which was amazing. The stinking card reader for the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, jeez.
And I got the cable to the GameCube. I also got some movies. There were
I remember.
There were cartoon episodes from like Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
Put on a cartridge, and in a time with like no Netflix and on-demand stuff, that was actually pretty stinking cool.
Straightforward thinking, straightforward thinking, forward thinking, straightforward thinking. No. Forward thinking of Nintendo to do something like that, and that was really cool.
Yeah. The Game Boy Advance did a lot of experimenting. I mentioned the e-reader. That was pretty cool. You could actually slide cards, and you could get the data for a game like that.
Right.
I played Balloon Fight by swiping 5 Balloon Fight cards. Does that sound weird to lots of people?
I think so. I think that's like nowadays you would never do something like that. Maybe scan a card to get a game like it.
I got a new game for my Wii U, and I have to tap 5 amiibos on my gamepad in order to play it.
Yeah.
All right.
So finally, we get 2 years later, we get the Game Boy Advance SP, and this is what we were looking for. Backlit screen, finally. Well, at least the option of a backlit screen. You get a little button. And
you actually didn't know this either. The first unit that came out was not backlit, it was front lit. Like there were some angled lights pointing at the screen from like within the device, of course. But they actually did another model with a backlit screen, and it had on the box newer, brighter backlight. So
I did not know that.
But it was lit. That's the point.
The thing that I thought was weird about this one was, at least with the Game Boy Advance, you still had the cartridges coming out the top. Mm-hmm. Now, if you had a Game Boy Advance game for the SP, it was perfectly fine. It fit perfectly in the bottom.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to play one of your old Game Boy games, you put it in the bottom, and it'd be like sticking out toward you.
Yeah, just like a DS Lite.
Yeah, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
That is really, really weird. Why?
Just to make it as small as possible, I guess.
I guess.
But this is where Nintendo was like, oh yes, clamshells. Like they did in the Game & Watch days. This is what we'll do forevermore.
And it is what they have done up until the 2DS, but they've gone back to it.
With the exception of the Game Boy Micro. And that was kind of cool. They released that as kind of like a... celebrating the end of the life of the Game Boy.
I think so.
It was like, we're going to just cap off this line of handhelds, and it's not that they were really pushing it at this point. This was 2005, and by that point the Nintendo DS had been out for a year, and the DS was their third pillar. They got their GameCube, their Game Boy Advance, and their DS, but that's what they said to be safe in case the DS didn't take off, and it sure did.
Oh yeah.
So the Game Boy Micro was just kind of like here's the best way to play all of your Game Boy games forever after, and I did like it a lot. It wasn't entirely backwards compatible though. It only played advanced games and not Game Boy games, so
Right.
that was a bummer.
Yeah.
One thing that was very cool though is that it introduced swappable faceplates. And
That's true.
That's what they're doing for the Nintendo 3DS, the new one, in other countries. We didn't get the smaller version.
Oh, that's right. We
Why
had the
can't
big
the bigger
honking
one have faceplates? Because these are cool. I got like a Famicom style faceplate and stuff.
I remember you had this. I didn't have the Game Boy
haven't.
Micro. I had the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
But to me, I thought it was kind of a weird thing. Like, I was like, wow, Nintendo, this is kind of a fail. But,
Which
you know,
one? The Micro?
the Micro. Like, I didn't really see the point of it. But, you know, Nintendo has enough money to spend. They can...
It was
throw
basically like a
console out
smaller
there.
backlit Advance, and I
Right.
appreciated that because I skipped the SP, so it was
Right.
a good upgrade for me.
This is cool.
So this has been the history of the Game Boy. Quite the product line.
Indeed, we've come a long way, and now we have the DS line, and
And the 3DS line.
the 3DS line,
Yep.
and it's, you know, and the DS side. That was weird.
Enjoy your handheld gaming. Handheld gaming lives.
Yes.
Nintendo,
Thanks to
hold
Nintendo.
strong.
If it would have been up to Sega, handheld gaming probably would no longer exist. Oh, you and that warp pipe.
I'm gonna go down this warp pipe, see where it leads. See if I can fix some plumbing down there.
That's right.
Thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of the crew. You are part of the crew. Thanks for watching.
Yes, don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe for the warp pipe. If you subscribe for anything, subscribe for the warp pipe's sake.
And say, and in your comments, say subscribe for the warp pipe.
Yes.
This thing's gonna stop folding up when we get enough subscribers. So
Yes.
we'll see you next time.
Indiegogo campaign. Signing out.